Are you fascinated yet skeptical about the metaphysical, the mystical, and everything in between? Do you struggle to understand how to stay spiritual in a physical world that's constantly challenging you? What about the thought that you chose to experience this life and the lessons you go through? Well, this just might be the podcast you're looking for. Thank you for tuning in to Intuitive WTF podcast. I'm Aaron Hart, intuitive reader, energy healer, and past life enthusiast, providing you a place to challenge, question, and maybe even laugh at my perspective and your own about the connection between the human, spiritual, and metaphysical journeys. So let's tune in. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I have Alchemistic Sound Healer Santana Da Luz here to chat with us on what they'll be doing at the Spiritual WTF experience at Heather Farms Community Center this coming Sunday, July 21st. And Santana will be leading the experience titled Alchemistic Sound Healing. So welcome, Santana. I'm glad to have you back for, I don't know, like the fourth or fifth time, but always happy to have you. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate being here every time too, and I'll keep coming back.
Oh yeah, well, I can keep talking, so we'll try to keep today's to a minimum because you know how I can get. But I have to ask this question. I always ask this, and since you've been here, I think I've asked you this question a couple of times, so I'm going to ask it in a different way. So in terms of what your WTF moment was, what, I guess, more of a recent WTF moment have you had that's maybe shifted your mind, kind of boggled your mind, made you realize, because of course, at least for me, I kind of get a little skeptical. So it's always nice, for spirit to keep our engine going and stuff like that. So what WTF moment have you recently had in the last few months since we at least last spoke?
Profound question, and thankfully I have answers. Two, actually. One of them very recent as of today.
Oh.
Really quickly, all my life, I have been social. I've been an extrovert, as people would say. As a little kid, I would go to just about anybody. In school, believe it or not, I was in the popular group. All these pretty girls, and then me. I protected them from their boyfriends.
What was
Anyway,
that like? I was never in the popular group. No.
oh really? No, I don't know how. It's not like I chose and went in, but it's just being an extrovert, having energy, which I didn't know then. It was just me having a good time flying wherever I could. Anyway, then in my young adulthood, it was either best friends or girlfriends constantly. Never, ever alone. Then it was circles of friends, da, da, da. The point I'm trying to get to is very, very social. In fact, I'm sleeping and then I'm social again. Recently, I've come to find out I get really overwhelmed with being around people constantly. And it shocked my system because I'm the one who instigates. Well, hey, Aaron, this party's ending. What are you doing? You want to go out for dinner? Then after dinner, if you're going to go home, I'm going to call a friend and say, let's go watch a movie. I am constantly doing this for decades. Recently, it's not been that way. Recently, it's like, hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to roll home. And I just crave being in my room with myself and me. And it first couple of times I'm like, I thought I was sick. And then I thought, I just had it too much. But I'm now accepting that, no, I want my downtime. And I'm asking for my downtime. And I'm putting people off so I can have my downtime. And then that started tripping me out. But the answer to that is, and that's the what the fuck experience, the awakening I had, which was being an old soul, which in many instances I was told, being an old soul, I got ascended to my higher self. I evolved. And therefore, I'm never really alone anymore. I have my angels, my guides. Two of my Andromedan guides have been wanting to come in, and they recently did. I have my power animals. I have my Indian tribe. I have many beings around me. So I'm never really alone. So when I have human beings around me, sometimes it's an overload. And that was a huge awakening. I think the second one really quickly was I've recently moved from Half Moon Bay to Martinez. And being a sound healer, I didn't, nobody's going to travel from Half Moon Bay over to Contra Costa County to come hear me and then go back. So one Thursday morning, I woke up and I was laying in bed and I was like, I need something. I need somebody to start making things happen, to bring in for sound healing. I also do metaphysical guidance. That's another thing on the side. Um, and I meditated in bed and it came to me and it said, go to the Chamber of Commerce. And if anybody knows me, that was a hell no. I don't do business that way. I don't like networking. I don't do anything the conventional, streamlined way. So I was like, not doing that. So I laid back in bed and I was like, okay, seriously, what can I do as my next steps towards my higher self? And it came again, loud and clear. I couldn't deny it. And it was go to the Chamber of Commerce. And then, because it knew me so well, it said, then you can have a good time and go to 2 metaphysical stores. Well, I love metaphysical stores. So I said, deal. I made this deal with myself. I go to the Chamber of Commerce dressed in my woo clothing. And a lady came out who couldn't go in. That's how small Martina's Chamber of Commerce is. She said, can I help you? And I said, I'm new here and I want to expand my business. She said, okay, sure. She brings me in, tries to show me all the stuff that I could buy and be on the calendars, and she says, and what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm an alchemistic sound healer. And she's like, oh, she changed her whole vibe, which I thought she was going to kick me out, but she changed her whole vibe. And she says, I got you here, do this. And she gave me a bunch more stuff. And I said, do you believe in this? And she says, yeah, my daughter's a seer. What was the likelihood of that?
Right.
At the Chamber of Commerce. So the last thing she says to me is, and go to Inside Out Wellness Spa. And I said, okay. And I was very happy with the reaction, all this information. Now I get to go to my metaphysical store. So it was a great experience. I go to get in my car and it downloaded again. It said, before you go to your metaphysical stores, go to Inside Out Wellness Spa. And I'm like, I don't want to. I want to go to my stores. And it said, just go. And it turned out to be point something miles away.
Oh, yeah.
So I go and I'm all disconnected with myself because I'm being guided to where I didn't want to be. But Spirit knew better. I go up in there and I meet Angela's husband. It's a couple that owns the spa. I meet Angela's husband, Martin. He says, can I help you? And I said, I don't know, but I've been guided here by the Chamber of Commerce. And I'm looking to expand my business. And he says, so what do you do? And I said, I'm a sound healer. And he looked at me and he says, stay there. And he calls up and he says, you need to get here now. Angela shows up a few minutes later and she's like, what? She looks at her husband like, why would you pull me back for what? And he goes, talk to Santana. And she looks at me and she says, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm new in this area. Went to the Chamber of Commerce. They told me to come to you. And she says, okay, well, what do you do? And I said, I'm a sound healer. Her eyes got so big. I thought this was a joke and I expected that candid camera to come out. But instead I said, what? And she says, I went to the top of the hill today to walk my dogs and asked Spirit to send me a sound healer.
Wow.
Hours difference. And since I've been working with Inside Out Wellness Spa, I have been getting many gigs. The artisan market in Martinez is now hosting me. Snyder Realties is hosting me and getting private gigs. It's been a really cool experience. So 2,500 minutes to answer your question of what has been my last experience of how the spiritual what the fuck experience has done for me. Yeah, it's waking me up. It's giving me courage. I'm using my voice. I'm getting out there and things are coming back gratefully tenfold.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And that, I mean, that's very similar to, I think I've said this probably a bunch of times on these chats, is similar to how things were working for me when I was planning this event, because a lot of times I was like thinking, oh, you know what? I'm like, I would love someone that can talk to that. Like, I think the last one I was like, I want someone that does drumming. I want just drumming. I don't want like regular drumming. I want like something that's like modern time, non like American as well. Like, and that's what I got, and then the other time, literally, actually, I think 2 weeks before the event, I had someone that decided, hey, would you be, willing to have me play and this and that. And we made it work, and I had another musician as well, and it's happened with every other thing. So I've noticed though, for me, is I have to talk it out loud. If I think it, may not do anything, but it's usually
You know why?
talking out loud. Because speaking is spells. Is that the right way to say
Speaking
it?
is spells, and in our Buddhist practice, it's using your kyo.
Mm-hmm.
Using your, in American, it's using your throat chakra. But when you have talk in your brain and it doesn't come out, it just becomes chaotic. This is just a tool, right? This is a
Yeah,
tool
yeah.
to get you to do things. Your heart is speaking what to do. And if you speak into your head, it gets locked up in there unless you're trying to work something out. So it's better if you talk it, because that's true manifestation.
I like that. Yeah, because in my head, a lot of things get locked in there. So that's
Yeah,
and
talk
I
out
think,
loud if you want in your house,
yeah.
really.
I have done that. I'm like, where's my dog? He's not right here. But sometimes I'll talk to him too. And but when I've talked out loud and I'm like, and it's also like I'm really wanting it. It's not one of those where, oh, I want this, but I'm like doubtful. It's like, no, like I want to have this. I want to have that. And it's like certainty. I've noticed it's just like boom, 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 boom. And so I've learned to trust that. And at this point I've kind of just said things out loud and I'm like, I know it's gonna come one way or the other. And if it doesn't come, something better is gonna come. So
That's right.
um so
I'm
I've kind of
glad you used the word certainty, because I think that's a lot of the issue. Like, some people go, okay, manifest. I want to manifest a car. And if they really believed they could get a car by manifestation and believed that they deserved the car
yeah.
combination, it will come. It's many who go, yeah, I want a new car. And then they're like, yeah, right. Like it's going to, well, they hear that energy too. So
Exactly.
deep from your heart, it's always real. The heart never plays. So if you come, I really want this car. Don't care how it comes. And we all think in conventional ways. It doesn't matter how. You just have to say yes to it. It's amazing. My roommate just was talking about going to Greece, but funds are always an issue. But she's like, I really want to go to Greece. Well, the other day she came to me saying she just got a free trip to Greece for 2 weeks because she has to guide somebody, some younger kid there. But it's still a free trip to Greece, and she's
How can I
going
sign
without
up?
her. Huh?
I
You're
said,
right,
how can I sign up?
right.
Yeah,
But
that's
you can do your
awesome.
own thing. I mean, I'm going to set intentions now. Excuse me. I would really like to go to Bali, and I'm aiming for August next year.
Nice.
I want it, and nothing really lends towards that except my heart's desire. So we'll see. We'll talk next year.
Yeah, we'll talk. I'll bring you back on and we'll ask. Remember that one time?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So actually, on the topic of manifestation, can people use sound healing to manifest? I mean, I know our voice is a sound, but like, is that something when they go to one of your sessions and they're like, I'm trying to create this, how can they utilize that session to manifest? Is that something that they can do?
Yes, indirectly, but yes, you can, because you manifest upon the power and balance of self. If you're not in balance with yourself, if you're not feeling calm, if you're not feeling awakened and one, no, you can't. Right. So if you do come to a sound healing, or when you do come to a sound healing, maybe at this Sunday on the 21st,
I'll try and sneak in.
right? It is about thinking of your body as the engine to manifestation. How good is your engine? Can your engine go through anything? Is it in shape? Does it have enough fluids? Does it have enough what it needs to get running hard? Right? If not, doesn't matter, right? So come in, get your system in place, running and in balance. And then when you leave, if we've really done the work together and the vibrations of the bowls put you back into balance and alignment with yourself, then absolutely you set the intention from your heart of what it is you desire without limitation, without attachment, okay, and without doubt. You can erase those and really like bring it to say this or something better. I always tell my clients to be open but not attached. And they're like, oh, not attached, just so not to be disappointed. No, not attached in case it's something bigger than what you expected.
That's true.
We don't
Yeah.
normally think in grandiose terms because we think we're being greedy or egotistical or narcissistic and or worse yet, not worthy. We have to honor and value ourselves And that is what would be returned back, honor and value.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, I feel like I've told this story a bunch of times, but sound healing was part of the shift in me last fall. That was because I went to two of your sessions, actually. I know I went to one of your sessions, and then there was another sound healer at this other event I went to the next day or whatnot. But I know it was like a combination of that and some other things. Like that weekend was like a pivotal weekend for me because I think a lot of things were shifted and moved, and I did not expect to have the type of weekend that I had. That was probably like my number one WTF moment that I had recently.
That was, and dare can I say, for you, what I know of you, you are not one to really give to yourself energetically. I mean, you may buy material goods to, new hats, new shirts, or whatever. Um, but it's not that often that you would go, I need a massage, or I'm going to go on retreat, or I'm going to just be silent for a minute and meditate. These are not your go-tos.
Yeah.
So when you intentionally, from your heart, decided, I'm going to try these things, even if it was as light as that, then your head said, this is how you're going to do it. Go to these sound healings. And then you also said, fine, I am here. I'm going to receive sound healing, whatever that is. But you were intentional about it, and then boom. And now you're claiming,
Yep.
yeah, I don't know about what happened, but when I did those things, then all of a sudden things came together. It was like, this is right. You
Right.
did alchemy.
Yeah. No, that's funny. And no, that's you're so right too, because just in this last since I've moved into, my new home, I have thought like, you know what? I haven't sat down and I haven't like, meditated and like I'm kind of like in this like limbo phase, like and energetically and mentally, just like trying to figure out, okay, how am I gonna like shift who I am and what I do in this home? Granted, I'm literally right next to some boxes that I haven't unpacked yet, so I think that's a large part of it. But I have been thinking like, you know what, I do want to get into a different practice now, and or at least get back into the practice that I used to have because I used to meditate a lot years ago. I was like, I mean, that's how I got into the space, and that's how I was able to like, connect to spirit and things. And now has been very different since I moved here. And actually, even at the last place I was at, I would set a time, like days, like a Saturday or a Sunday, where I would turn off my phone for a good 8 hours, whatever, do a puzzle, play with the dog, put music on, do something. And I just have not done that in the last like 2 months.
Yeah, well, I'm also going to let you know that the energies that are happening now at this time, and I use this word a lot, but it's appropriate. It's quite chaotic, with Pluto and Uranus doing their thing. The new moon coming up on the 21st. And some of it has to do with the old stuff from the past is now bubbling up, and you're needing to contend with that.
Ah, yes. Oh my God. Yes,
Yeah.
even speaking in accidental brought back memories. Because the only other, I mean, I don't want to get into it, but the only other time I'd been there when we were doing all that was with an ex, and I was just like, and things have been like, that's probably like the fifth situation that's brought it up. So I'm like, okay, there's still things I need to let go of or release or from that. So the other thing I was like, maybe I was sent there because that's a distinct memory, and I went there on the drive back home. I was like, leave whatever doesn't serve me anymore. I was like, leave that here and let's move on. So
Mhm.
that's, yes, bringing back old crap that I don't want.
Yes, and this is also the crucial time of choosing anew. And these two things are not easy
Mhm.
because, like for me, I thought I overcame all that stuff. I felt I let go, but it's bubbling up, going, are you sure? Is that right? Is that where you're at? And they're confirming with me. And as I go through this process of going, yep, no, we're good, it kind of moves this way, right? Near simultaneously, as I'm releasing, shaman law says, what you release, you must replace with something else, or it gets replaced on its own, and it may not always be to your highest interest and greatest good.
Ooh, okay.
So it's this release and slowly bring in, and then you wonder why you can't undo those boxes sitting to the side. Well, you're really working hard along with working and doing what you're doing. Energetically, you're doing a lot too. Right. And then, like a friend of mine was telling me, yeah, I'm having a hard time sleeping. Yeah, because there's a lot of work to be done. Right. And unconsciously. So you have to be very mindful and intentional about, this is rest. This is work time. I want to undo those boxes, but there's no judgment because there's other things happening.
Yeah.
Right. And you just have to learn to self-care more than ever before. And it's funny because after this, I was just like, can we go for a walk in Mother Nature again? Because I need to be there.
Yeah. I have been doing that. So my work day has been very slow. So I was like, you know what? Why am I going to wait till after work to go when I can enjoy an amazing 1 o'clock walk at the marina for a good hour? I did that yesterday. Today I went in a different direction, learning my neighborhood, and
Right.
I brought the dog, and he's knocked out right now. He's not bugging me. Normally he'd be at my side jumping on me at this time. So
Right.
yeah, that's
yeah. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of being. And I believe sound healing helps with the frequencies of all of that and helps you be aware of something's not in alignment, or I didn't even know, but all of a sudden I feel better because it got back in alignment. As I was saying in our last time, I mean, if music soothes your soul, and I'm not judging anybody out there, but I do know a couple friends who prefer silence to music. Not mad at the silence, but for most people, music soothes the soul. It's celebratory. It soothes your soul in any kind of sadness. It brings back memories. It just is nice background to keep you going, right? It does all the stuff. So now you take that sound and move it into raw sound, not from tuned instruments, but crystal bowl instruments, and even any other intentional sound healing instruments. Now you're still hearing something very soothing. They're just not coordinated chords, and they're specifically to have you back here. That's why some people after sound healing, they either like, I feel great. Oh my God, I'm ready to rule the world. A small percentage does that. I'm like, most people are zened out. Majority of them are like, I feel amazing, but I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. Or they feel fine, they feel different, but then inevitably I hear, my God, I slept so well that night. Because you're not out of balance. You're in here. So yeah, I believe in energy and vibration, and I don't live it as much as I'd like to, because I'm human.
I'm
When my
right.
human side comes in, but if my human side can be controlled more from my heart than my head, I tend to be happy naturally. And this is what I try to share with the world.
Wait, say that again. If my human heart can be more controlled than my head, is that what you said?
Yeah, so we've been conditioned to hide the heart. Since we were born, it's all about, oh, mommy, daddy, when I make this sound, then I get this, and everything's outside of you, which I call skin out, right? Then I have to walk, I have to crawl, I have to eat, I have to do this. Okay, so everything's skin out. Then you go to school, then you have friends, then you get a job, everything's skin out. Okay.
Right.
We've never been taught to come in. Now, the first time the heart comes into play is, well, we love mommy and daddy. We love our best friends, right? And then we fall in love. And then it, majority of the time, doesn't work because it's your first love. And it gets hurt. And when it gets hurt, we block it. I'm not going to be a fool anymore. I'm going right here all the time. Because this I can work out. The problem with that is this is limited information.
Right. Right.
We don't even know about it, because unless you can tell me more about me, I have limited information. If I spoke with my heart, if I led with my heart, did not think it a fool, yes, it got hurt, but I led with my true heart's desires and let the tool of the brain get my true heart's desires, that's in my best operating form and using my whole system correctly.
I like that.
We have been conditioned otherwise. You know, the smarter the person, the more the money, the better the life. And that's what we've been told. And that's not true. In fact, if I can, I'd like to tell you this real quick story of there was a very wealthy American man who went to Portugal to do some business. And he took a break and went to the beach. Upon the beach, he saw an old Portuguese man with his little rundown chair, one skinny little fishing pole, and he's out there fishing, just doing his thing, being peaceful as can be. Businessman comes over and says, "Hey there, you've been fishing for a while?" And he says, "Yes." And he says, "You know, if you got a few more poles out there, you can get a little more fish. When you get a little more fish, you can maybe afford a boat. When you get that boat, you can get even more fish. And when you get even more fish, then you can get more boats. And eventually you'll have this fleet and you'll have all this money and your business will boom and blah, 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 blah." Portuguese man turns around to him and says, "Let me make sure I understand you." American guy goes, "Sure, tell me." And he says, "So I get more poles to get a boat, to get more boats, to have this fleet so that I am wealthy, so that when I have enough in my pocket, I can sit on the beach and fish."
That's awesome. Yeah.
So this is why I'm sitting on the beach and fishing right now. This is what I like. Now, do I go out to expensive dinners? No. Do I have $400 shoes? No. But do I dictate my life every day the way I want it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that to me is value.
No, I agree with you. I am not like, I would rather go and have an experience, hence spiritual WTF experience. I've always been more about having an experience than, going and spending money on tons of food, tons of items. Like the only thing I'll spend full price
It's
on.
true because it's material good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I've gone to Hawaii so many times, and a lot of times they were like, I won't even say discount trips, but they were budget trips. There you go, budget trips. But we had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I love the islands. I go at least once a year, sometimes twice, and I've gotten to the point. Well, minus inflation, who knows? But I've got to the point where I can go and I know what to do, and I'm not going to go and spend a ton of money, and or other than like maybe place the state. But now I have a friend living there, so even better. So
Nice.
yeah, so I definitely understand that. But going back to the heart thing, do you ever play when you're playing your sound healing? Because I know you do focus on different chakras and stuff. Do you tend to focus more on the heart space when you're playing, when you're DJing?
Yeah, it depends on the crowd. I try to feel into them energetically when I'm setting up my bowls, when I'm setting up my things and people are coming or they're going to be coming.
Mm-hmm.
My whole ritual starts with setting up my whole sound healings. Okay. And then as the people come, I will go around and greet them, and just get the vibe. And I play my bowls according to what the bowls are being told by the people. And I didn't realize I was doing that until recently. And I also realized that, yes, as I'm playing to them, it was a couple of friends of mine because we would go out to eat afterwards. And through them, I noticed I would slam like 3 cups of water before dinner even started. And it was because I was energetically drained, not in a bad way, but I depleted a lot of my stuff to add on to those healings, to be in contact with what I'm being told to deliver. So a lot of the times my bowls will tell me where people are at. Like some are really not grounded. So the root will play a lot. Some
Yeah.
people have broken hearts or very sad due to a loss of somebody. And that's when the bowls will ask for the heart to come in more. Or some people are too much in their head and we have the crown. It's like, nope, open that stuff up, open it up. A very obvious one is sometimes in sound healing, people will start choking or coughing. And that's the obvious one, is when they're not really speaking their truths. They'll start coughing, and I'll play the G bowl, which is the throat, to open that up. So I'm constantly working. And then the solar plexus is for feelings, and the sacral is for the creation. It all depends, or third eye, the A. It all depends on what people want. And so that's what I end up delivering. But here's the funny thing is sometimes I'll touch the F bowl. So for example, the heart bowl is the F bowl. I'll just touch it and it'll go, whoa. And it's like, okay, I'll play more of it. We're good. And then I'll try to look out to see who's needing this because sometimes they're crying, they're shut down. And then I go and talk to them afterwards on the DL. And it resonates. And then that's sometimes how they become my metaphysical client.
Mhm.
And that's where I do one-on-one sessions on Zoom. And I take your everyday life struggles, challenges, questions, and weave in spirituality.
Nice. Yeah, I remember I've taken a couple of your sessions, and for some reason I'm like, I remember there was one when we did it. There's a small group of us. I think when we were trying to do the hybrid versions, and I was just the bowl was right above my head, and I remember I felt like I was going sideways with it, as it was going, and then there was another part where I remember I was kind of in and out of it, like I was going somewhere, I was traveling, and then there was this part where I remember I was just like I remember even feeling my face was kind of scrunching up, and I just kept moving. I just kept moving. I don't remember what you had said, but I remember you were like, yeah, you were going somewhere. You were doing because I was doing all sorts of stuff. So I just remember I just kept moving and moving and moving. Then finally I was like, oh, we're done, and it was good. I loved it, but at the same point I was kind of like, geez, I really moved a lot. I guess there was some resistance there or something because I was calm with certain things and others all of a sudden I was like,
Yeah, and or I think you were partially working to move things in, and it moves the body. Sometimes, my one profound one was this woman. I thought she not convulsing on the ground, but definite lots of movement. When we were done, she said she was playing with a white wolf.
oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, there are my biggest claim to fame is a very wealthy lady had trouble with her face, and it was causing pain just on one side of her face. I didn't know this. She just came to a sound healing. Afterwards, she held her face, and her friends around her were like, "Oh my God, you better tell Santana." And I'm like, "Oh shit, what happened?" Apparently, she had pain in her face that she'd been trying to go to doctors for months. She got to a neurologist who was trying to put her on meds. She came to an hour sound healing. To this day, there's no more pain.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so it's real because I did read on to say that these vibrations, the megahertz in the vibration of the bowls, are do get into your neuropathy. Yeah, the words. It's very scientific in it. How it gets neuropathy, neuroscience it really does affect the whole system, and some people feel and some people don't, but it will always affect your body whether you know it or not, because again, this is limited information. If
Yeah.
your heart felt it, it will keep working through everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've learned for myself, like I sound healing actually has a bigger effect than I even ever thought. So that's why I like to get them and go to the healing sessions because my body reacts to it when I usually block a lot of stuff out. But when it comes to that, I just close my eyes and zone out. And I think that's the other thing is I'm opening up to it where I'm not mentally there because I just
Exactly right.
I let my mind fall asleep.
Right, because this blocks it all the time, even in massage or anything at all. Psychic readings, this blocks it.
Hmm.
So if you can tell your mind, I love you, you're useful, you've been awesome, but right now is not your time to play. Come over here, sit right here. I come back. I promise. I come back.
I've done
This,
that when I do readings. I put
yeah,
myself in the car. I'm like, get out of the house, go sit in the car and wait.
yeah.
And
This is
I'll be back.
all psychological, and then you go back to it. Actually, go back to it. All right. When you're done, go back and go mind. Come back because now you're training this to quiet,
Hmm.
and you're trusting it. If you tell it to go aside and you don't go back to it, you may struggle the next time again.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Okay. But you're really just training yourself to stop this and make this louder.
I like that. I like that. Okay. Maybe next time I'll bring out a version of the heart space. I don't know. I like to play around with things when I'm doing readings and stuff. So I'll try that out. I do have another question really
Yeah.
quickly. So since you have moved, has your intentions when playing shifted? Being that you're now physically in a different location, or has it kind of stayed the same? Because I know a lot of things have happened as well, but I'm just curious if like,
My intentions have not changed, but my style has, because I've been adding different tools that bring me great joy. And when my energy rises, so will the people I play for. I've recently purchased a massive gong,
oh yeah,
and that first, it sets the tone, right? It brings it in. And then I'm learning to play with different tools, such as my buffalo drum that you enjoyed a little while ago. Uh,
yes,
and then I have a Tibetan bowl for the crown chakra. So my intentions haven't changed. My experience has absolutely gone up, and my instruments have changed. So now it's more of a, that's why I can call myself the DJ of sound, because I can come up with lots of different sounds depending on who needs what when.
got it. Okay, I like that. That's pretty awesome.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I know we're at time here. Actually, I was noticing the clock was like going in the opposite direction, so I was like, oh crap, I don't know how long it's been. But I know we've probably a good 30 minutes here. But I know you're on a time limit somewhat, so I will let you go. But I think this was a great conversation, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday for your session here. So for anyone that is viewing this or listening to this, with the few days left that we have on a podcast. You can go ahead and get your tickets at spiritualwtf.com and just go ahead and add Santana's workshop when you're purchasing the tickets. So I look forward to seeing you all there, and Santana, I look forward to seeing you there as well.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you for having the spiritual what the fuck experience. I know it's a lot of work on your end, but there's many, many, many beings in deepest gratitude for your work. I look forward to the experience again. And to everybody out there listening, I really, most honestly, look forward to meeting you. You at least learning and experiencing what's going on. And at the very most, hoping to see you at all the workshops and every booth.
Awesome. I double that. All right. Well,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to Intuitive WTF podcast. I hope today's episode brought about a new perspective, or at least made you question a current one. If you enjoyed this show, subscribe to this podcast now, and don't forget to rate and review. If you have any questions or would like to add your perspective to today's topic, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, join us next time for another round of laughs. I look forward to bringing you many more WTF moments, but until then, this is Aaron Hart asking you to stay in curiosity, be in the moment, and always ask yourself, what the fuck?